Today is Saturday, September 30th, 2006, and we're here at the Cascade Mill reunion. And with us is Mr. Kenneth Wright. He was one of the Cascade hooligans, as he likes to say. And so, Mr. Wright, what we'd like to do is for you just to start any place you want to, your earliest recollection about life in the mill, and just give us some idea of what it was like living here, who some of your friends were, some of the trouble you may have gotten into or not, and that kind of thing. So,
got in a lot of trouble. We first moved here in 1946, right? My dad got out of service, and the only place available was mill work. And it's the only place he could support us and raise us up. Didn't have a whole lot of food, but we had some good times, and we've had real good times. We've brought up in a religious type atmosphere, always have. Jonathan Memorial Church, Cascade Baptist Church, and from school we was outside the city limits, so we had to ride a bus, which was Gabriel Bus Company. They had a contract, I guess, something like that, and we rode Gabriel Bus Company back to school.
what was the name of the school?
It was Morrisville City Schools. I hated riding the bus.
Now, whereabouts did you live?
It's where we didn't live on Cascade. We started out at 26 McNeely Avenue, and then we moved over to 61 Cascade. There used to be some brown houses up here on the end. We lived those for a while, and then we moved over in front of Christenberry's garage. And then we sort of moved from one house to another, just whichever to get a rent cheaper.
Now, you said your father worked at the mill.
My dad worked at the mill.
How long did he work at the mill?
Christ, I guess probably 10 years. He worked at Cascade Mill, and we went down to the lower mill.
Yeah, do you know what type of work he did?
He was a spinner and a fixer. I seen what the cotton mill done to my mom and daddy. I didn't want no part of it.
So you never worked at the mill. You were just brought up around the mill.
I was just brought up around the mill.
Okay. What were the best memories you have of living in this area around the mill?
Well, the best memories I have was basically our church. Going to Sunday school. And I hated to get up and go to Sunday school, but once I got there, it was okay. And Gabriel Bus Company, my worst memory, I guess it's a good memory, was right after we moved here. I was about maybe 5, maybe 6 years old. I was a mama's boy. And the bus was going to take my mama away. I didn't like it. I broke the windshield out. Said, "You're not going to take my mama away." Of course, I got my little butt tore up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Our discipline was strict, but it was loving. And our houses was never locked. We always went. We didn't like what Mom had for supper. We'd go somewhere else.
So you had a lot of friends?
Oh yes, a lot of friends.
A lot of kids around the area when you grew up?
Cousins.
And what did you guys do for entertainment, for excitement? Not to stay out of trouble, but to have fun.
We played ball, get in ball, and play ball, and we'd have fights and walk in the woods.
Now, what did you do in the woods? Did you have games you played?
Yeah, we had games we played, and just get out. Just get out in the woods and just walk around until we find something. Most of the time it was a case of poison ivy.
Now, how did you get the name hooligan? What were the Cascade hooligans?
That was a name that we were a wild bunch. We resented authority to a certain degree. We'd get in little mischievous stuff. But not we wouldn't hurt anybody. Never did. If anybody would hurt themselves. But it was fun. That's where we got the name.
So working the mill was tough, but being brought up in the mill was good.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was. Yeah. It was a good life. My mom and daddy, that's all they knew. And we survived.
Yeah. Now, did your mom work in the mill also?
Yes, sir.
And what did she do?
She was a spinner.
She was a spinner also.
Yeah, winder.
Okay.
Hand,
And she also worked the 10 years, the same 10 years?
she worked probably 5 years, 3 or 4 years over here, Cascade, and then she went to Kimspun and Templon. And then my dad went over there too, and they worked over there for years. And then my mom got disabled and she wasn't able to work anymore.
Now, when you say, and I don't want anything personal, but when you say your mom got disabled, was it due to the mill or?
Yes.
Okay.
That and smoking.
Okay.
That's that cotton dust.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What was Cascade Mill known for? What was the product that they spun? Cotton, denim?
They made denim and stuff like that here.
And where did they?
Rayon shirts, rayon material, things like that.
Where did they sell these products to? Do you remember?
Everybody.
Everybody?
Everybody made clothes. It's like denim. Mooresville mills down there, they've made denim, and they sold those to Wrangler, Levi's, the jean company. But all in all, it was a good life, and I really enjoyed coming to these unions since I started.
Well, it seems like everybody enjoys it. This is great.
It does, even though our numbers have dwindled over the years. But we still come by, swap tails.
A lot of fond memories?
Yes, sir.
Great.
A whole lot of memories.
Great.
Well, Mr. Wright, we appreciate you coming and chatting with us today about Cascade Mill, and I understand there's some desserts over there if you might want to
Well, I just made
have your
room
help.
for some more.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And we have now Miss Stella D'Amato. Am I saying that right? D'Amato Priest, who grew up in the Cascade area also.
Comes around there and comes through the...
And if you could, please just start and tell us about your earliest recollection and what it was like growing up in the Cascade Mills. If you worked in the mill, what you did. If your parents worked in the mill, what they did, that sort of thing.
Well, I didn't work in the Cascade Mill. I did work in the other mill downtown, but Cascade was just the perfect home for me. I just loved it. The neighbors was wonderful, and we had the best time. There was so many children around that we had this group that we just got together almost every night, especially in the summertime when school wasn't on, and we played, whether it was ball or hide and seek or whatever. It was just a friendly, wonderful place to live. And, you know, I knew a lot of girls and boys that went to school with me, of course. And,
What school did you go to?
well, I went to Mooresville High School, and I also went to Troutman. But Mooresville High School was my favorite, of course. But we had a wonderful time there. We had good neighbors that we cared so much about. And I did get to see some of them this time I was here, but I've been gone for 27 years, so it's been a while, and it was good to see everybody. But this is a wonderful little town. The Cascade Mill was very generous in things. If somebody had something, they were good about, because my aunt and uncle worked there, and they were good about giving people donations for something, and they probably still do that. But it's just a great little town to grow up in. I was very proud to live here.
When did your aunt and uncle work at the mill?
Oh, it was in, I guess, the late 50s.
And what did they do in the mill?
I can't remember what my uncle did, but my aunt, I think she was a spinner. And I did work there myself for just a little while.
For genealogy purposes, can you tell us your aunt and uncle's names?
My aunt and uncle was Marie and Bill Johnson, and we moved from out there on 21. I don't know what it is. They're behind near Brawley School, but closer to Brawley School than beyond it. It was I can't even the Brawley area. And they went to work in the mill, and we helped with the farm and everything. We had a big farm. And then we moved to Cascade after my uncle died.
Now, we've heard about a swimming pool in the area. Did you go there? Brown's swimming pool?
Brown swimming pool. I went to the skating ring. I hardly ever went to the pool. But I love the skating.
Was that just on the weekends, or?
No, we'd go to, well, in the summertime, we'd go 2 or 3 times a week. You know, it wouldn't just be on the weekend. It would be, you know, whenever we felt the urge to go.
Now, what other activities did they have in the mill? Did they have like a special family day, or?
They did. They did. They had a family day. And they'd have something special for the children. All kinds of candy and little toys. And it was very nice.
Did you do anything over the 4th of July?
Usually we went out to the river. Out past, I don't even know where that river is anymore. It's way on out on the, I don't know what that river is.
Is that the Catawba River and 150
Yeah,
where they had the
yeah.
old bridge,
Right.
the toll bridge?
Yeah, that's one, 150. Yeah. That was one of our good enjoyments, and especially in the summertime. Yeah. We like to fish too out there. We fished. My uncle taught me how to fish.
Did your family or you have a garden, or?
Oh, absolutely. We had 111 acres. We had we planted corn and alfalfa and you name it. And we had a big garden, vegetable garden, everything, apple trees, all kinds of trees.
So did you bring a lot of your crop into town?
Usually, what we've done is my aunt's sister-in-law. They would get together and just do all the canning and stuff, and they would, you know, put it up for the family, whatever family needs it, you know. And then we killed hogs and, you know, all that good food. Yeah, it was a wonderful time. It really was. I enjoyed it a lot.
Okay.
Well, Miss Priest, we thank you so much for talking with us today and sharing some of your memories of the Cascade area. We certainly have gotten a lot of information, and thank you so much.
You're quite welcome.
We have Mr. Dennis Nance now, who's going to tell us his recollections of living in the Cascade Mill area. We've already been warned that some of the things he has to say may or may not be true, but we can always edit it if we need to. Mr. Nance, if you would, just tell us about your earliest recollections of living in the mill area, Cascade Mill area, and just go from there.
Well, we moved here in the early 50s, I'd say about 52, because I know we had a 1952 Pontiac, a brand new Pontiac. And we had sold our house and moved out from out on the highway, and we moved to Cascade where my dad bought this house. He worked for the Cascade mill. And
What did he do for the mill?
he was, when he left, he was a supervisor. He was supervisor for 22 years. He worked there 38 years. Pretty much everybody worked there and stayed there all their life because it was a mill town. And that's how everything survived.
And what was your father's name?
Edgar, or Ed Nance. A lot of people knew him. He's passed away now. But we had a good life. I had 3 other brothers. I am a twin, so I always had somebody to play with.
Now, were you the oldest, the youngest?
I had an older brother and a younger brother and a twin brother. But we grew up at Cascade, and we was always into something.
Such
A lot of
as?
things going on. Well, we shut out the light bulbs for the mill, and they put them back in, and we'd shoot them out again. And so we kept them busy, and they could give us something to do. But we used to play on the railroad track a lot, shoot the train, and we'd throw rocks at the tractor trailers when they came in at the mill, because we lived beside a big oak tree, and we'd sit behind the oak tree, and when the trucks would go under, they'd drag the top of the truck on the tree limbs, and when they drug the tree limbs, well, we'd put the rocks on it so you couldn't hear it. So we had a lot of fun doing that. But we used to play together. We had our own ball team. Had enough people to have our own ball team. We actually played the black kids up here.
Because you played here at the mill?
No, we had a ball field at the house next door to us, and we actually did play at this field here some, but we played at home.
So where's home?
We was number 3 Cascade, right beside the big oak tree. It's still there.
Who was the blackheads?
There's the black kids.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Black kids. Back then, the blacks and the whites were, not what they are today. But we played with them, we got along with them, and we did a lot of things, all together. Well, we played, and we went to school. I went to Parkview School. Even my granddaughter's going to Parkview School now. And my dad said he went to Parkview School, but he only went to the 8th grade. Back then, people went to work and stuff, went to school. We'd catch the city bus, actually not the city bus, but the Gable Bus Company ran a bus here. You'd ride the bus to school for a nickel or a dime, I can't remember, something like that. And we'd ride the school bus, and later on, we got older, we rode our bicycles to school, which you don't see that anymore, kids riding bicycles to school. We ride a bicycle to school. We'd come home. Right before we got into Cascade, there was a couple billboards up there, and we'd stop and climb the back of the billboards and just hanging out and doing funny things. And actually across the street was the junction, and they actually had a water tank there where they filled the steam engine. And I know that really sounds old, but that's not quite that old. But they did have a water tank where they filled the steam engine, and that was right on the outskirts of Cascade. That's where the carnival used to come every year. We played together, like I said. All the neighborhood kids were together at our house. Just seemed like it. They all came to our house. But I have an older brother, and he had older friends, and we was really the kids that were in the way. We just didn't fit in. They were that much older. My older brother was 8 years older than I was. Or 3 years older, I'm sorry. Younger brother was 8 years difference. But we didn't fit in a lot of times with their activities, but we did get involved in it. And I actually got a scar behind my glasses where I got throwing rocks at the house on Halloween night. I was in the 3rd grade. I was misled by the older kids. It's a wonder I survived. But really had a good time. But we moved away in probably 58, because I finished high school in 62, so we moved away in 58.
Where did you move to?
We moved over to Fieldstone, which is actually used to be the hospital there. Now it's the government center for the county. But Fieldstone was only about a block long. Now Fieldstone is a mile or a mile and a half long. But when Fieldstone, we moved over there, it was only a block long. But when we were at Cascade as a kid, they always had a big Christmas fund. They had a big Christmas party.
And where did
you
they
always went. You had a big Christmas bag. You got toys, fruit, all kinds of things. They had these huge donuts that was made by the Golden Crust Bakery downtown. And a lot of the old people might remember the Golden Crust Bakery was right down in front of the old City Hall right now, And they had those big donuts, and then they had Cascade night once a year. And it ran from in the morning all the way at night, because you had 3 shifts, and each shift got to go. And they had people making music and dancing and all kinds of activities going on. It was held at the War Memorial over on, I think that's Maple Street. But a lot of good things to remember about Cascade, especially being a kid. I mean, like I said, it wasn't just 1 or 2 kids. We had a ton of kids.
Would you say that the being brought up as a kid here versus having to work in the mill were 2 different worlds?
Well, everybody worked. All the parents worked in the mill. Actually, we'd be out at night, playing in the afternoon or late at night. My dad was on the second shift, and we knew when he took lunch, and we'd go by the mill, and he had a window, and we'd stop and talk to him, and he was in the mill, and we were outside on the street.
Can you describe to us what your house was like?
Well, our house is still there. It was 2-story. We slept upstairs. No air conditioning. You know, the heat was just one heater in the main room downstairs, and we just covered up if it was wintertime. In the summertime, we just had a fan in the window, and we survived.
How many bedrooms?
Had 2 bedrooms upstairs and 2 downstairs. But we slept at night. We didn't lock the doors. We had screen doors. We had a hook on them. Most of the time, there wasn't even a hook. You just didn't have to worry. I mean, there's nothing going on.
Did your house have a bathroom in it?
Had a bathroom, but it's basically a bathroom out on a porch, pretty much. It was closed in. Ours was closed in, but it was basically you kind of had to left the housing area to go to the bathroom.
Was this an add-on?
I probably was on the porch. I really don't know. That's probably before my time.
Did a lot of people have cars in the mill, or cars not too
My
many?
dad always had. He's a Pontiac man. He always had a new Pontiac. He traded about every other year. And we had a horse, and he had a 2-wheel cart that we rode the horse in. But he used the horse to run the cart, and he'd plow with the horse. We had a garden. Used to hate to pick strawberries. Used to hate string beans, but we did it because everybody can. That's the way, you survive.
Sounds like you had a pretty good-sized garden if you could use a horse.
We had a pretty good-sized garden. I remember my dad one time was going to burn it off. He had raked all the brush up. And for some reason, he took a bunch of gasoline and went all the way around that garden. And when he lit it, it just like lifted the whole garden up almost. I mean, he wasn't aware of how much explosion it was going to make, but it was right interesting to watch. But
You said that you did canning. Was it a group? Did the women all get together and can, or did each woman can her own things?
No, my mother pretty much did it on her own. Had pressure cookers, and we actually had. I remember my dad bought 2 small calves one time. He was going to raise them and then kill them and eat them, and and we used to feed them with a milk bottle, and we were so attached to them. When you did slaughter them, nobody ate the meat. We actually give it all away. So I remember things like that. And we used to shut corn and shell it for the horses to eat, and it was pretty much like living in the country, but we were in the city. And I remember the police cars. I remember the old black and white police cars used to come around. Remember the state used to come around cleaning out the ditches with the chain gang. Used to watch all that kind of stuff. And the mill, actually, they tore some of the mill down, and we took a lot of the dirt out of it because our yard was about 2 or 3 feet below the road level, and they hauled that dirt into our house. And my dad leveled all that dirt with a horse and a drag pan. And it's full right now. And he had the trees in the yard. Everybody said he'd kill them, but they're still there. And that's been many years ago. But
Well, it sounds like life was good for you.
yeah, I survived my brothers, so I survived Cascade.
Well, Mr. Nance, we appreciate you talking to us today and sharing your memories. And if you want any of this edited, we'll be glad to do that.
Okay. If
Thank
I'd
you.
see it, I probably would edit it.
Thank you very much.